can you give us some examples of some specific questions you might ask a prospective partner to see if it looks like a good fit?
Sure. So, the first thing is, what's your financial goals? So I look at every opportunity out there, multifamily investment, any other, real estate investment, as well as where is the opportunity? What is the level of time that's needed to create that value? How long of a hold does this deal, is it conducive for? So for example, is it a buy and hold deal or is it a value add deal? Is it a heavy value add and a major reposition where we have to go into bridge debt and move really quickly, where there's a little more risk, but there's big reward on the back end? Or is it something that's like super vanilla? There's a little value add because we can bump rents $200 by putting in flooring and paint, poorly managed before. Like, what is the risk level and what is the return level? And then is that aligned with where I am? So as an investor, we need to look at ourselves at all time and say, are we in a phase of accumulation where we need income? Like, that's our primary goal, is I want to retire from my job. I need X number of dollars per month. I need deals that generate income. Or have I moved beyond my income needs, and what I really want is big checks at the back end? I want to grow my net worth, but I'm not as concerned about whether I make cash flow month to month. Or have I had the income and had the growth I need, and now I just want safe deals that preserve my capital? So I need to know, where am I on my wealth building, continuum, and where are my partners and where are my investors? Well, if I need the cash flow and you don't care about cash flow, you just want the check at the back end, you're going to be more open to risk for big payouts at the back. And I'm going to be like, I don't want to take that risk, and I can't have a no cash flow deal for 2 years because I need the cash flow today to survive. That's a big one. Yeah. Because if you get that well aligned, then you're going to like the same type of deals. And then it's going to be easier to say yes to a deal or to say no to a deal. So that's a huge one. And then the next one is really the time commitment. How much time can you really give? If you had to spend your time wisely and you could only give me 4 hours a day, what would you be best at? What are you most competent and comfortable at and passionate enough about that I can rely on you to execute what you need to do? So that's big. And then the last thing is more just kind of the personality kind of questions. Are you easily offended, or are you able to take constructive criticism well? And that may be a hard question to ask, but we have to be able to answer that. I know some people that you say, you did a great job, but next time maybe you should think about how you say something more tactfully. And if they blow up at me for making that kind of comment, it's probably not going to be a good partnership. Yeah. Or if you say, so that kind of thing, how do you communicate? Do you like in-person communication? How often do you want to be communicated with? Can you trust me with certain decisions, or do you feel like we need to collaborate on every single decision in every single area? So just those kind of, communication and conflict styles, pride versus humility, brash versus tactful, relational versus like all about the numbers, choleric leader kind of people tend to be less people, and other people tend to like love people and don't want to hurt people's feelings, but they're not great, leaders and executors. And so I think you have to ask all of those questions: time, competence, character, personality, and financial goals.
Yeah. Really important things for sure. And so do you have any advice about maybe reading between the lines? Maybe like somebody, you think you understand where they're coming from, or maybe they think they know where they're coming from, or maybe they're trying to make you think they're coming from a certain place, but maybe they're not. Any advice about like kind of reading between the lines with?
I think that over time, our discernment radar grows and we're able to do that, better. I think if we go in, and I'm very much an optimist and realist. So I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. But when you're going to think about partnering with someone, I think you've got to basically put on that, like, I'm going to be a little bit pessimistic, and let me just see let me make sure that I'm asking all the questions. I want to give the benefit of the doubt, but I want to assume that I'm trying to uncover any red flags that I need to uncover. And so if you go into everything they say with a healthy dose of skepticism to say, okay, let me dig a little deeper on that. Like, give me some examples. And so maybe you ask, give me some examples when you had a business relationship that really didn't go well, where there was just a lot of conflict. Like, give me an example of how you navigated that, something that happened and how you navigated that. And ask how they navigated that. And sometimes that will draw out personality. Oh, this guy just did this. And, I did nothing wrong, but it was a problem. Or did they say, I had a situation where we had conflict and I tried to resolve it. We had a lot of discussions about, how can we resolve the conflict, but this person wouldn't, or I learned from that because I was being too harsh. Like, do they tell you the truth about conflict, conflict in the past, or lessons learned, or do they gloss over it and they've never done anything wrong and have nothing to learn? So those are the kind of questions that I kind of like to ask, just to see, what someone's personality is like, to help you to dig deeper into, gosh, this person just seems too good to be true. Are they, or is there something that they're hiding or covering up? Asking for references from people they've worked with and done deals with before. If you're not both new, and they've been in the space, it's kind of a small network. And so people tend to know, things about people. So being able to ask those questions, hey, can you give me references from people you've done deals with in the past that I can give them a call and ask about your experience? And they should be happy to do that.
Yeah, you can see it's kind of like a job interview in a way. You
Right.
try to ask those kind of wide range of questions, and I mean that's something that comes up, like what, a situation where maybe asking about weaknesses or something like that, and if they think they don't have any, then it could be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like to see sponsors underwriting too. So, you talk about the personality things and the vision, and that's important too. But like, I like to see, okay, you have a deal that you've done or that you're interested in. Show me your underwriting and let me see, how you project changing this deal. And there's times when I see someone's underwriting that I realize they're much more aggressive than I am. I'm much more conservative. And I feel like, even though their underwriting showing some certain great returns, that it's unrealistic, or I couldn't sell it to my investors because it didn't have, for example, no rent growth year one, or a cap rate in the future that's higher than what it is today. So there's things like that I can tell their risk tolerance and how detailed they are based on underwriting. And that might tell me that, we should talk about that. So let me see your deal and then talk to me about this. Tell me why you don't think that you should, model no rent increases at 3% every year, or, why you can meet these rents, or how you're going to deal with the crime in the area, even though you're saying it's a Class A area. So those kind of things, if you see it, gives you an ability to talk through, hey, are we well aligned with the types of deals we want to do together, and how we view, those deals and risk tolerance. And it might be that that's enough to make you say, I think we could be well aligned for a more aggressive deal, but right now myself and my investors are more conservative. So as much as I like you, I don't think we could form a company together, or we couldn't do this particular deal together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a better way to say no than like, I just don't like you,
Yeah.
or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned too about like if they you're talking about experiences where things didn't go well, partnerships and things. I guess what you're looking for really is their own accountability in that, like, because that if they don't have that accountability, everything is always somebody else's fault, then that's going to really create problems in your own business, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think we need open communication, and conflict resolution is super important in a deal, because when you're dealing with big deals, you're dealing with big dollars and big risks. And especially when you have investors' money involved, you don't want something to go wrong in a partnership that's going to influence the operation of your building or your investors. And so you've got to make sure that, I have investors ask me, have you done a deal with this other person you're partnering with? Well, how do you know that you're going to be a good fit? So a lot of investors would rather invest with people who've done 2 or 3 deals together that have gone full cycle, because they know that they have less risk that partnership's going to blow up, or the partners aren't going to like each other anymore. And
Yeah.
so, there's wisdom in that. And so the more we can do to assume that things could go wrong, talk about upfront how we would resolve those things, and talk about what things we could see maybe being issues because we have slightly different personalities, and talk through that, the better our investors will be and the better we'll be for it.
Yeah. Okay.